Welcome back, friends. Today, we've got a heartwarming tale straight from the snowy hills of Montana, a story of a little girl, a dying wolf, and a bond that rewrote a family's future. It's the kind of story that reminds us courage and kindness can thaw even the coldest winters. If you love tales that tug at your heart and lift your spirit, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single one. Now, let's dive into a journey that'll warm your soul. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. The wind howled across the snow-draped hills of Willow Creek, a small Montana town nestled between rugged mountains and endless forests. It was late November, and the first heavy snow of the season had arrived earlier than expected, blanketing the landscape in a silence so deep it felt alive. 10-year-old Lily Grayson trudged through the drifts, her red mittens clutching a small bucket for collecting pine cones. She'd promised her teacher a nature display for the school's winter fair, and though the flakes stung her cheeks like tiny needles, she pressed on toward Silver Lake, a shimmering, frozen gem the locals swore held secrets older than the town itself. Lily's breath puffed into the air as she hummed a tune her mother used to sing, a lullaby about brave hearts and wild places. She didn't notice the cold seeping through her boots or the way the sky darkened with the promise of more snow. Her hazel eyes, sharp and curious, scanned the ground for treasures until they landed on something extraordinary. A dark shape sprawled across the ice, half submerged in a jagged hole. At first, she thought it was a fallen log. But as she squinted through the swirling flakes, her heart skipped. It was no log, it was a wolf. A massive, silver-furred creature, its body trapped in the frozen lake, its amber eyes flickering with a fading light. The wolf's front paws scratched feebly at the ice, claws scraping in a rhythm that matched its shallow, cloud-forming breaths. Lily froze, her bucket slipping from her hands. She knew wolves, everyone in Willow Creek did. Her father, Tom Grayson, had spent years hunting them, his rifle a constant companion after a pack took half his cattle one brutal winter. "They're killers, Lily," he'd say, his voice hard as the oak table where he cleaned his gear. "Respect them, but never trust them." The townsfolk agreed, their stories of wolf attacks woven into the fabric of every fireside tale. Yet here, staring into those desperate eyes, Lily didn't see a killer. She saw a life slipping away, a creature begging for help. Her small voice trembled as she whispered, "Hold on. Just hold on." The wind swallowed her words, but she took a step onto the creaking ice, then another. She knew what her father would do, turn back, maybe call the men with guns. She knew what the town expected, let nature sort it out. But Lily wasn't like them. She'd always been the quiet girl who watched the world with eyes that saw too much, who fed stray cats behind the barn despite her father's grumbling. And now, faced with this dying wolf, she made a choice that would ripple through her life, and her family, like a stone tossed into Silver Lake. Lily lived with her father in a weathered cabin at the edge of Willow Creek, where the town's dirt roads gave way to untamed wilderness. The cabin was a sturdy thing, built by Tom's grandfather, its walls lined with faded photos of happier days. 3 years ago, those days had shattered when Lily's mother, Sarah, left after a tragedy neither Tom nor Lily spoke of, a baby brother, Daniel, lost to a winter storm's merciless chill. Sarah's departure took the warmth from the house, leaving behind a silence Tom filled with work and Lily with questions she never asked aloud. Willow Creek itself was a town of 1,800 souls, a place where folks made a living from logging, hunting, and the tourists who flocked to see the mountain's rugged beauty. Lately, though, tension simmered. Wolves had edged closer, their howls haunting the nights, threatening the livelihoods of ranchers like Tom. The town was divided. Old-timers like Hank Miller, who'd hunted wolves since he could hold a rifle, clashed with newcomers like Dr. Emily Carter, a wildlife biologist pushing for coexistence. Sheriff Brody tried to keep the peace, but the council meetings grew louder each week. Tom Grayson was Willow Creek's best hunter, a title earned after a wolf killed his father on a snowy ridge when Tom was just 17. That loss turned a cheerful boy into a man of steel, his life dedicated to protecting the town from the predators he blamed for his pain. But something had shifted in Tom last summer. Tracking a wolf to its den, he'd found it guarding a litter of pups, their tiny whines echoing in the dusk. He'd aimed his rifle, finger on the trigger, then lowered it and walked away, a secret he kept even from Lily, who didn't know the animals her father once hunted now stirred something new in his guarded heart. That snowy afternoon, Lily had only meant to gather pine cones when the storm snuck up on her. She should have turned back. Tom's rules about weather were strict, but the quiet pulled her deeper into the woods. When she saw the wolf, instinct took over. She tested the ice. Inching closer, her heart pounding as the frozen surface groaned beneath her. The wolf growled, a weak sound that bared its teeth, but its strength was gone. Lily pulled off her scarf, trying to loop it around the wolf's chest, but the ice cracked, forcing her back. Desperate, she found a sturdy branch along the shore and crawled on her belly, spreading her weight as Tom had taught her during fishing trips. "Grab it," she urged, pushing the branch toward the wolf. After agonizing moments, its jaws clamped onto the wood. Lily pulled with all her might, her mittens slipping, her arms burning. The wolf surged forward, paws finding solid ice, and with one final heave, Lily dragged it free. Its soaked fur glistened, already freezing in the wind. But victory turned to panic as the ice beneath Lily buckled. Her leg plunged into the frigid water, the cold searing like fire. Gasping, she clawed her way back, her jeans stiffening as they froze. The wolf lay nearby, too weak to move, its eyes tracking her. "We've gotta get warm," Lily said through chattering teeth, knowing she couldn't abandon it now. With a strength she didn't know she had, she fashioned a sled from branches and her coat, rolling the massive creature onto it. Ignoring the pain in her leg, she dragged it toward an old shed her father hadn't used since Daniel's death, a quarter-mile from their cabin. By the time she reached the shed, her breath was ragged, her forehead slick with frozen sweat. Inside, she piled burlap sacks and a tattered blanket around the wolf, then lit a fire in the rusty stove with matches from the emergency kit Tom insisted she carry. Kneeling beside the wolf, its head heavy in her lap, she whispered, "I'll help you, but you can't die. Promise me." Its amber eyes met hers, then closed, its fate now resting with a child whose compassion defied everything she'd been taught. For 3 days, Lily slipped away to the shed, her excuses growing flimsier: homework, a lost glove, a need for fresh air. She smuggled scraps of venison from dinner, bandaged the wolf's cuts with supplies swiped from the bathroom, and read aloud from her favorite book, The Call of the Wild, her voice a steady comfort in the dim space. The wolf, whom she named Storm for his silver-gray coat, grew stronger. His breathing steadied, his eyes sharpened, and sometimes he'd lift his head to watch her, a quiet intelligence in his gaze. Lily marveled at his recovery, tending a gash on his leg with peroxide she'd borrowed from the medicine cabinet. She was no vet, just a kid with a library card and a knack for fixing things, but Storm didn't seem to mind. He'd tense when she approached, muscles coiled, but never snapped. By the fourth day, he let her stroke his fur, leaning into her touch with a trust that made her heart swell. That morning, Lily crept out before dawn, a bundle of Tom's old flannel shirts under her arm to soften Storm's bed. She didn't notice her father's absence from the kitchen or the trail her boots had worn in the snow. Pushing open the shed door, she froze. Tom stood inside, rifle in hand, staring at Storm, who crouched in the corner, ears back. "Dad, no!" Lily cried, throwing herself between them. "He's hurt, not dangerous. Please." Tom's face was a mask, but his grip on the rifle tightened. "Lily Grayson, do you know what you've done? That's a wild wolf. It could have killed you a dozen times. But he didn't." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "He let me save him. He trusts me. If you shoot him, I'll never forgive you. Never." The silence stretched, heavy as the snow outside. Tom's eyes flickered, a crack in his armor. "Your granddad," he said, voice low. "My father was killed by a wolf when I was younger than you. I watched it happen." Lily's breath caught. No one had ever told her how her grandfather died. In the corner, Storm watched, his gaze shifting between them. "We were hunting," Tom continued, his voice hollow. "A storm separated us. When I found him, he was gone. That's why I hunt, Lily, to keep folks safe. But this wolf," he faltered. "He didn't hurt anyone," Lily said, stepping closer. "He was dying, Dad, like Grandpa might have been. I couldn't let him go." Tom looked at her, really looked, and saw not just his little girl, but a spark of Sarah's kindness, his father's grit. "Last summer," he said, softer now, "I tracked a wolf to her den. She had pups. I couldn't shoot. Walked away instead. Never told a soul." Lily's hand found his. "Maybe being a hunter means knowing when not to shoot." Tom exhaled, lowering the rifle. "We can't keep him here, Lily. He's wild." "I know," she whispered. "But can we help him get strong? Please?" After a long pause, Tom nodded. "We'll need medicine for that leg, real food, not scraps. And no one in town can know. Hank Miller'd shoot him on sight. And the law'd back him." Lily hugged him, sobbing with relief. Over her shoulder, Tom met Storm's gaze. Those amber eyes held no threat, only a piercing awareness that unsettled him. He'd just crossed a line he'd never imagined, and the town would never understand. The next day, trouble brewed. Tom was at Miller's feed store when Jed Harper, a rancher whose land bordered theirs, leaned in. "Saw something odd yesterday, Tom. Looked like Lily hauling something big toward that old shed. With wolves around, makes a man curious." Tom kept his face blank, counting cash for supplies. "She's been gathering firewood. teaching her early, winter's coming. Jed's eyes narrowed. Looked bigger than firewood. With my calves missing. Folks are talking. Lily's a good kid, Tom said, voice firm. If you're hinting otherwise, we've got a problem. Jed backed off, but his stare lingered. Walking home, Tom felt the town's weight pressing down. For the first time, he stood on the wrong side of Willow Creek's oldest fight, guided only by a child's faith. Storm's recovery was slow but steady. Tom, tapping skills from his youth helping his father with injured dogs, crafted a splint for the wolf's leg. Lily cleaned the wound daily, using bandages Tom bought discreetly in the next county. Antibiotics came trickier. Tom approached Dr. Carter, claiming it was for a hunting dog. She raised an eyebrow but handed over the meds, instructions tucked inside. Storm grew accustomed to them. He'd lift his head when Lily entered. Even let her pet him, though with Tom he kept a wary distance, a truce, not a friendship. He understands us, Lily said one night, watching Storm test his leg. See how he waits for me? He knows we're helping. Tom grunted, but he couldn't deny it. Storm's patience, the way he took food gently from their hands, defied everything he'd learned hunting wolves. Late one night, alone with Storm, Tom sat beside him, hand resting on the wolf's fur. "What am I doing?" he murmured. "What would Dad say?" As Storm healed, the question of his future loomed. He paced the shed, eyes on the horizon. Releasing him near town risked hunters. Letting him go too far might mean losing him to a harsh wild. Then, Jed Harper's sheep turned up dead, throats torn, a wolf's work. By noon, a hunting party formed at Miller's, Hank bellowing, "Time to teach these wolves a lesson." Tom joined, knowing absence would spark suspicion. That night, he lied to Lily, checking traps, and trekked with the men. Rifles loaded. They cornered a young wolf miles from Storm. Tom fired wide, letting it escape. Hank shot him a look but said nothing. Around the fire, Jed asked, "Still think wolves and men can share these hills?" Tom, "I believe in protecting what's ours," Tom replied, careful. "But I've never seen a wolf attack unprovoked. Maybe there's room if we're smart." The men's silence judged him. He'd just tipped his hand, and the fallout was coming. Weeks passed, and Storm grew restless, his howls testing the shed's walls. Lily begged to free him, but Tom hesitated. Hunters were on edge after the sheep killings. Then, at school, Lily heard Dr. Carter would visit to talk wolves. "She protects them, Dad. She could help Storm." "We can't trust anyone," Tom said. "Even her. How'd we explain a wolf in our shed?" Lily's face fell. "He's not a pet. He's my friend." That night, Storm's howls grew desperate, answered faintly by distant wolves. "They're calling him," Lily said, tears welling. "It's time." "What if hunters find him?" she asked. "We'll take him far," Tom decided. "The Grayson Range, my dad's old land. No one hunts there but me." They planned to release Storm at dawn, driving him to a remote ridge rich with game. But fate intervened. Lily's school announced a field trip to the Missoula Nature Center, an hour away, to see a predator exhibit. Dr. Carter helped design. Please, Dad. Lily pleaded. The forecast worried Tom. Snow was coming, but Lily's eyes won. Stay with your group, he warned, signing the slip. The bus left under a gray sky. By noon, snow fell thick, and the mill sent Tom home. His phone rang. Principal Hayes. Buses are back early. Should be here soon. At school. Chaos reigned as parents collected kids. Lily wasn't there. Her teacher, Mrs. Klein, paled. She was on my bus, but she went to the restroom before we left. We thought she boarded the other one. The second bus arrived. No Lily. Panic clawed Tom's chest. Sheriff Brody organized a search, but a blizzard hit, winds howling, visibility gone. Tom joined Brody in his truck, scouring the route. She's smart, Tom said, voice tight. I taught her survival. Darkness fell, temperatures plunged. Tom fought images of Daniel, lost to cold years ago. At dawn, the storm eased, and Jed approached. My girl said Lily asked about Silver Lake yesterday, if it was frozen. She didn't tell sooner, scared she'd get in trouble. Tom's heart lurched. Where we found Storm. Then it hit. Dr. Carter had said Storm's tracking collar was dying. Lily, desperate to see him one last time, might have tried to reach the lake. She's there, Tom rasped, racing for his jeep. Brody followed, skeptical. She couldn't make 15 miles in that storm. She'd take the old logging road, Tom insisted. Snow blocked their path 2 miles in. They hiked on, Tom relentless. 3 miles later, Brody spotted red, Lily's mitten, under a pine. Tom dug frantically, finding her curled in a hollow, pale but breathing. Hypothermic. Brody said, wrapping her in blankets. Dad, Lily mumbled, eyes fluttering. Tried to find Storm, fell through ice, he kept me warm. She's delirious, Brody said. But Tom saw tracks nearby, large, wolf-like, leading into the trees. Carrying Lily, Tom pushed back to safety, a gray shape shadowing them through the forest, unseen but felt. Lily spent days in the hospital, Tom at her side. When she woke, she told him, Storm found me. I fell through the stream ice, got soaked. He stayed with me in a cave, kept me alive. Dr. Carter, visiting, was gentle. Hypothermia can trick the mind, Lily. Storm was miles away on the Grayson Range. It wasn't a dream. Lily insisted. You saw the tracks. Dad. Tom nodded, uncertain. Later, Brody brought trail cam photos from that night, silver-gray wolf, moving purposefully near where Lily was found. Not saying it's a miracle, Brody said, but that night, Tom showed Dr. Carter the images. Could he have known she needed him? She sighed. Science says no. But wolves. I've seen things I can't explain. Tom confessed, the wolf that killed my dad, I shot its mate first. It was protecting its own. I've hunted them since, thinking I was right. Now, maybe Storm paid a debt I owed. Spring came softly. Lily recovered, her bond with Tom deeper than ever. Sarah returned, drawn by news of Lily's ordeal, and a fragile reunion began. One June evening, they hiked the Grayson Range with Dr. Carter, spotting Storm with a pack, 2 adults, a young wolf. He paused, gazing up at them, then vanished into the trees. "They're singing for us," Lily said as howls rose. Tom, arm around Sarah, felt a cycle break, a family healed by a wolf's grace. What can we take from Lily and Storm's incredible journey? Sometimes, the smallest acts of compassion, like a child risking everything to save a wolf, can heal wounds we didn't even know we carried. It's a reminder that bravery isn't just in fighting battles, but in choosing to trust, to forgive, and to connect, even when the world tells us otherwise. What do you think? Has an act of kindness ever changed your life? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if it touched you, and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear your stories. Let's keep this warmth going together.